There was so much to talk about this week that we had to actually add a third show. But we're going to start with the head coaching vacancies now. Um, Kansas City has fired head coach Todd Haley.
Mhm.
Uh, Dolphins have fired head coach Tony Serrano. What does that do for each team? I mean, they're both not really good teams. One's 4-9, one's what 5-8 right now.
Mhm.
So I mean,
I think that hurts an even worse team. I really don't like coaching changes in the middle of the season.
It's
It's just especially for bad teams is who does it. I mean, those teams already aren't winning, and taking away the head figure in your team, it's just not going to help it at all. I
yeah.
don't understand firing a coach
It's
mid-season.
it's an admission of submission is exactly what it is. It's saying we can't compete. We're done with our season. We're gonna go ahead and start moving on. And I don't like that. I think you should always,
Yeah, maybe they
there's
get a jump
always something to
start
play
on
for.
next year, but 3 games really? You
Yeah.
can't just ride it out.
the GM for the Chiefs have actually come out and said, blame me for the lack of depth in the Chiefs team. But, I mean, if you're the GMs for each of these teams, who do you go after? Are you going to go after a young and
Well, I would go
upcoming?
after Brett Favre probably. He's out there. He's
Are you
amazing.
are you going to go after a young and upcoming offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, or are you going to try to go after a Jeff Fisher or a Bill Cowher?
I think you ought to go after players. I mean, have we watched the Dolphins and the Chiefs play this year?
I watched the Dolphins.
Is
Yeah.
Tyler Palko and Chad Henne really the future of both of these franchises? I hope to
Matt
God
Moore's the
not.
starter in Miami.
He
Not
should be.
Chad
Well, I
Henne.
mean, when Henne comes back, is
Well,
that
I
going to be
think I
the
don't
two?
think Henny's coming back. I think, and Matt Moore's out now too. So
Yeah.
they're down to someone I've never heard of.
on a completely unrelated note, James Harrison has been suspended by the
God.
NFL for what
Playing football.
Yeah,
For
I
playing
agree.
football.
for what has been called a helmet-to-helmet hit on Colt
And it
McCoy on
was,
Thursday night.
but
Yeah, it's what they're there for, to use them.
Bryce is under the impression that it's just a football play. There's
It
nothing
is.
wrong with it.
The helmet's get in the way sometimes. That's just what. If you lead with the helmet, I can see suspending a player. If you hit a helmet-to-helmet contact, that's called playing football.
yeah.
That's called making a tackle.
I mean, I grew up with a defense run by Derek Brooks and John Lynch, and that's that is the violence and physicality that I grew up with. That's how football should be
Yeah,
played.
that's what it
That's
is. It's a collision
know,
sport. It's
if
not for girls.
if John Lynch still played in the NFL and didn't work for Fox, he would be signed. I mean, fined every single week.
Moving on to possible head coaching vacancies, a lot of people have actually brought up Raheem Morris and Matt's coach um, in Tampa Bay as a possible person that could be out by the end of the season. Matt, why do you think that Raheem Morris should keep his job?
It's not likely. I think. Well, personally, I think because John Gruden is still under contract. He's still being paid by our man John Gruden, who hasn't coached for the Bucks in 3 years, is still being paid by the Bucks, and there really hasn't been a lot of money in the Bucks organization. There never was with the cheapest owners as we have. They care more about their soccer team than
No, they don't.
they don't care about either team. They care about their money, and I think we got to get a defensive coordinator. Let Raheem Morris focus because Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator and the head coach, and that's a really tough job.
Yeah.
And our defense is awful. And
It has
player
been.
players like playing for him. They respect him, but there's a lot of issues with discipline, and there's just a lot of bad tackling.
Well,
Bad
it's a
form.
young team. I mean,
Mhm.
It is a young
your
team.
average age was like
And I
what,
think that's a
26 or
problem.
25,
And
something around
it's
there.
even lower. Last year we were the youngest team in the league, and this year we're even younger than last year. So I think that that's got to be expected. But I think you've got to be able to bring in free agents, and they aren't bringing in free agents. They almost refuse to sign anybody. I mean, the only free agent we signed last year was Michael Kanan, and look how that worked out. Perfect. I mean,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Pro
great.
Bowl.
I mean, a Pro Bowl caliber. I mean, we have two Pro Bowl players, our kicker and our punter. I just don't think Raheem Morris should get the whole blame for this. There's a lot of problems with the Bucks. I don't know that you can single out Raheem Morris and say that he's it. Getting rid of him will fix anything.
On a related note, Jerry Jones has actually come out and said there is no way that we change up coaches after
Yeah,
this
a lot
season.
of people don't necessarily believe that.
Yeah,
either.
don't
Right.
ever trust anything he says.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Cowboys fan. I've been following ever since I was born. I never trust anything that guy says.
Bryce, as a Cowboys fan, what does Jason Garrett do for your team?
It's, it seems like you watch the games and you listen to the commentators, and even if you listen to Jerry Jones, it doesn't seem like Jason Garrett's the head coach. It seems like Rob Ryan is the head coach. Rob Ryan gets more publicity, he gets more blame, he gets more praise.
And he talks more.
Hey, absolutely, and he gets more TV time than Jason Garrett ever does. I was watching a game with someone the other day that doesn't really watch football, and they commented. They said, "Is that the head coach talking about Rob Ryan?" Because that's all the announcers and everybody talks about. And I said, "No, uh, he's not. He's the defensive coordinator." I really would not be surprised to see him move to head coach. Once again, I don't trust anything Jerry Jones says. Jerry Jones is going to do whatever he feels like doing that morning.
Could you imagine that? The two Ryan brothers as two head coaches?
That'd be an awesome
Another
rivalry if we get
Harbaugh.
them playing each other. That would be terrific.
Yeah, but at least the Harbaughs don't talk about every every game.
Let me ask you this too, Bryson. This involves you being a Dallas fan. With Jerry Jones being the general manager of the Cowboys, should he be separate? Should he hire a separate GM so he can just focus on handing the GM money and say, "Here, go
I
get
don't
these
think
players"?
that'll ever happen.
It will never happen,
Yeah.
but I don't like head office people having more than one job. I think it's way too much, especially for the Cowboys, which is the biggest NFL team. I mean, I'm not saying that as a fan. I'm saying that as just a person. The Cowboys are the biggest brand in the NFL, and having one person being the owner and GM, you can't do it all.
No.
I mean, I don't even like head coaches being the offensive coordinator or calling the plays, or being the defensive coordinator calling the plays. For all the people out there that don't think the head coach that doesn't call a play or doesn't call the defense does anything, extremely wrong. A head coaching position is very stressful, and calling the plays or calling the defensive plays is not something that a head coach needs upon their stress level during a game.
You could argue the only team that's successfully done it over the past couple of years is the Saints with Sean Payton
Yeah,
calling the play.
yeah.
And other than that, there really are no examples.
Not much change out of the ESPN power rankings this week. Minus the Broncos actually are number 9
Yeah,
this
it
week.
should be higher. That's so odd.
The Patriots have moved up as well as Steelers and Saints, while the San Francisco 49ers moved down. But that's it for the issues, guys. We figured we needed to actually touch on this because these were actually huge issues that the NFL and people around the water cooler have been talking about.
Do y'all legitimately see the Patriots as the number 5 in the top power rankings in the NFL? I mean, do
Not
y'all
with their defense.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I can't see them in the top 5. Just with that defense, it's so horrible.
It is.
I just.
But Tom Brady makes up for
And
it,
Tom-
and it's like
But he can
it's
only
like
make
with
up
Green
so
Bay.
much.
Green Bay's defense,
Aaron
especially their
Rodgers is better than
secondary,
Tom
is,
Brady,
is
though.
terrible. Agreed.
Ooh. We have another show.
Right now, Aaron Rodgers is better
Right
than Tom
now,
Brady. The Green
he
Bay
has more weapons,
the Green Bay
too.
Packers would have not hung around that long to the Washington Redskins. That game would have been
No,
over.
that's very true.
But for Bryce and Matt, I'm Billy. This has been Sports Love, guys.